Hello YouTubes, today we're going to upgrade this vintage Athearn switcher to DCC. We're also going to add some railings, which I need to make myself. Now this thing runs absolutely great, a little rocket around the layout, however, it does make this strange noise when it stops. Weird, huh? Let me show you what's going on inside this little guy and why I immediately thought it was broken, when it is definitely not broken, as you just saw. These ones are a wee bit harder to get the shell off. So the little switchers only have the single motor mount. And there's absolutely nothing to grab onto. I was just lucky that I got the other side out. I don't just need to get under here and lever it right. Oh, please come off. What's wrong with you? Yeah, there's a little clip there that goes into that. Okay, very old, as you can see. Old sort of oblong motor, strange shaped flywheels. Now check this out. I went to turn this just to see what the movement was like on the commutator, and look at that. I thought, oh dear, drive shaft's broken. What about that one? Oh, that one must be broken as well. No, this is almost like a clutch. It's a freewheeling flywheel. So it will pick up a certain amount of grip from it when it starts moving. But that noise you heard at the end of that video was this continuing to spin when you switch it off. Pretty strange, never seen that before in an Athearn Blue box, but now I have. Anyway, it runs great. Time to add the decoder. Now, not a huge amount of space, so I think, as usual, I will be mounting the decoder away up there in the roof section. Luckily, I've got very small decoders I can use. Hopefully we can squeeze a little headlight in there, and we'll probably need to use a micro LED for the rear light if we even bother, because I just want this thing running around the track. Once we've got the decoder installed, we need to fabricate some railings. Thankfully we don't have the side ones here, it's just got a single bar along there. The same on that side. It does have a sort of rectangular railing here with one stanchion going up the middle, and the usual sort of front railing with stanchion there. Actually, I think it's just two stanchions, one there and one there, with the main railing going around that section. Pretty much the same at the back, although there is a couple of handrails going from that point down to that point. So, a fair bit of work, but not as bad as having to do the whole thing on like an SD70 or something. Okay, let's begin with the decoder. As usual with the Athearn Blue box, we need to isolate the motor. We will not be using this power bar. We're not going to be using this headlight. Remove that. Let's see, I think for power pickup, I think we will just use the top of the motor and this front bar. Unless we can drill a little hole somewhere in the chassis, thread a little hole, put a screw in there for the chassis pickup. We'll think about that after, but first I'm going to remove this. Certainly won't be using that, just gets in the way. Oh, this is a tough one. Wow. He does not want to come out. Oh, oof. Tough one. Right, that's a wee bit loose, so I'm not sure if I want to use that as my chassis pickup, but we'll see, we'll see. Next up then, I have already removed the trucks to clean them and make sure they're all lubed. That was an absolute nightmare. I'd rather not do that again. So let's see if we can get the motor out just by pushing the motor mounts through, lift that up, and it should come away from the trucks. And saying that, once we get this out, the trucks are relatively easy to remove. Right, let's see if we can get this out without stabbing myself in the hand. I like to use one of these Robertson screwdrivers rather than a Phillips so that we're not really stabbing these little mounts. I don't have spares, so I kind of want to reuse these if possible. That's coming out fairly easily, thank goodness. Okay, oh goodness, it still doesn't want to release from the, there we go, the drive shafts. Okay, these mounts are in fine condition. Obviously very old, but they're still kind of rubbery and flexible, so they've not gone all brittle like some of them do. We'll deal with that after. Let's have a look at this. Going to be picking up the power from the right rail through these bars as normal, but we don't need all this in the way, so I'm going to trim them down. This is possibly easier to do when it's not in the chassis. Let's grab my big metal cutters and see if we can get in. I just want to trim this flat section off. We can always get the power from the side there. And I've just spotted where we can actually get the power from the left rail rather than going through the chassis and up to this. There is a little platform we can use down there. See down there? We can solder the left rail pickup wires to that because it's not going to interfere with anything. As long as the wire comes out this way and doesn't hit the drive shaft, it'll be okay. Right, let's see. Can we get this out? Not really. So I'm going to remove the trucks to do this operation. Just need to squeeze. Again, it's quite old, different probably from what you've seen in the past with an Athearn blue box. You need to squeeze these little tabs at the sides and the whole thing will drop down like this. One down, get the other one. Just got to be careful with these things because they are old, they might be brittle. Just take your time. There. Right, that's our trucks out. I'm going to snip these bits off. No, I'm not, because they're still in the way. Or at least this is still in the way. So I'm going to remove that. Take the one gear out. Still going to be in the way. They're so small, the switchers. Nah, we're okay. So I'm just going to chop this whole side bit off because we don't need it. And then I'll be soldering the right rail pickup to there. Same on the other side. Oh, I need to take the worm gear out. Nearly forgot. Well, I did forget. But now I remembered. Take that out. Worm gear out. Snip this. So that is ready to get a blob of solder there, a blob of solder there, and we decided we can get a blob of solder in there for the other side. So that will be the right rail pickup, this will be the left rail pickup, which means we can remove this thing. Like so. Right, next, let's isolate this motor and make sure the chassis is safe from shorting out. So here's how it normally works, okay? You got one of your trucks, they both do the same thing. Left wheels on the truck, that's the forward direction, okay? So this side would be the left. The truck will pick up the power from the wheels, that power gets transferred through this side of the truck, and then it goes to this little bar here. That little bar makes contact with that oily oblong rectangle down there, which should be clean by the way. So then all the left power from the rails is now in the chassis, okay? That power then goes to the underside of the motor. These little tangs that are dropping down, they pick up the power for the left or negative side of the motor, okay? So left wheels, left truck, little platform, chassis, underside of the motor. Right hand side or positive side of the motor is there, and that picks up the power from the top bits that I just snipped off, which are connected to each other normally with that bar. So we're doing away with all of that. But now we need to isolate the motor so we no longer have the power going directly from the chassis to the motor. That's what we're doing. So, first things first, we're just going to put a little bit of tape along the bottom section there so there's absolutely no chance of these connecting to the chassis, right? A little bit of tape there. Don't make it too wide because then you won't be able to get your mounting holes through. Like so. So that's that bit done. Move that out of the way for now. Next up, the motor. We want to isolate the motor. Now, these little copper strips are swappable. So what I like to do, and you don't have to do this, but I like to swap that one round for the top one because it's flat. Less chance of that touching said platform at the bottom, right? Right, let me do that. So, pretty easy to do this, but let's take these out of the way for now so you can see it a bit better. I'm going to remove this. There is a spring and a brush under it, so keep your finger over the top, like that. You see the spring. Move that out of the way. Put the spring somewhere safe. Brush. Put that somewhere safe. Do the same with the top. Finger over the top. Oh, by the way, it only comes out that side. Don't try and lever it on that side. You see how it's a sort of S-shaped clip. Lever that. Move that to the side. Spring somewhere safe. Brush somewhere safe. So, this is the bottom one. We're going to put that on the top. Leave that for now. This is the bottom one. Before we put that back on, I do want to add a little wire to it. And this will be the power sending, or this will be the decoder sending power to the underside of the motor. We're going to make this a grey wire. Don't worry, that will make sense later. I'm going to attach my grey wire to this side of the clip, the sort of S shape. Let's get a bit of flux on there, get a bit of solder, and our little grey wire. Like so. That section's done. We can actually rebuild the motor and get it back into the chassis now. However, before we do that, I do want to take care of my little trucks and get power connections on them. So we're going to be adding a blob of solder to there. Let's see, yeah, we'll add the wire to that as well. No, we don't need to add the wire to that bit yet, but for that section down there, we do need to add some wire. So that section down there, this is the rear truck. That section is going to be black wire. That section down there is also going to be black wire, but as I say, we're not going to solder on the top ones at the moment. So I decided that, let's see, we're going to pop this back in briefly, just so we know exactly where we can solder a blob of solder and a bit of wire. So pop that in there, because we need to make sure it's not going to interfere when we rotate this. So I think right in the middle there, just in front of this clip here on the metal, should be fine. What we should probably do then, just mark that so we know exactly where we're going to be soldering once we take the truck out. So this side of that black dot, okay, in between the black dot and the edge is where we want the wee solder. The solder blob and some black wire. Okay, and the same with this one, presumably. Let's just double check in case it's different at the front. Clip that in there. Yeah, that's going to be the same. So just between the black mark and the edge. Right, let's go on with that. So let's get some flux in there. Heat that up, get a blob of solder in right there. Looks about right. And of course, I couldn't find any black wire, so I'm going to use green. Colour doesn't really matter as long as you remember where it all goes. Going to get that in there. Got a feeling I've got the solder going a wee bit too close to this, that sort of greyed out section there. I'm pretty sure it has to swivel there, so I'm going to make sure by moving that over there. Actually, let's just remove it and start again, shall we? It's really important that we keep that little square section flat because it's going to rotate on the underside of the chassis there. So you do want that quite smooth, so you do not want the solder over that section there. You want it right in that corner. Okay, we'll try again. It doesn't need to be a huge amount. There we go. Just like that. That's what we want. Now we can get a rewire on. We decided it was going to be green. Okay, let's try this again. In that, there's a wee gap in there. I'm going to slide it through. Okay. Like so. So it's going to come up here. We've kept it away from the worm gear as well. Right, let me get the other one done. Much the same. So this is the rear. This is the front. Let's see, that's going to be coming out of... Oh, that way around. Oh, I was confused there for a second. So we want this one coming out there, going that way. So a bit of flux in there, right in the corner. Bit of solder down there. Yeah, it's better. And our other green wire, this one's a bit longer than the other one. That will make sense when we get topside, okay? Just going to put a wee bit of flux in the wire. Get you in there. Like so. So again, that's coming round this side and going up to stay away from any moving parts. Okay, what's next? Now we can rebuild the motor, get it back in the chassis. First then, let's get our brush back in. I have already cleaned all this and oiled it up, so don't worry about that. Remember, there's already a sort of semicircle in this, so kind of want it going back in the way it came out. Or it'll have to make a new semicircle. Get a spring in. And get our little clip on. This is the one with the wire that we're putting in. Okay. Hooky side at the back. S shape near the spring. Okay. Clip that down. Lovely. So that grey wire is going to come along and up here. And can we put the top one in at the moment? Yes, we can. Sometimes I like to put a mounting platform on this style, but the older Athearns, they just don't do it. They don't work. What I'm going to do though, I am going to snip off these little tabs that are sticking up. Just in case they catch in something. They're just taking up space anyway. Watch your eyes when you do this. With eye protection, these things like to ping always towards places they're not supposed to. Right, we'll get that back in then. So, the other brush, get you in there. Little semicircle follows the curve. Other spring. In you go. And our other cover hooky bit at the back. S shape at the front. That's our motor back together. Let's get it into the chassis. We need our mounts. One there. One there. We do need to put our trucks in though, remember, because it's easier to actually put the motor in with the drive shafts, with the trucks in place. A wee bit fiddly. So feed your green wire up through there. Clip you in place. Yeah, that green wire's going to work just fine there. Get the front one in. Same deal. Feed the wire through. Clip you in place. Lovely. One gear. Worm gear cover. Same at the front. And the cover on the top. Lovely. Right, let's see if we can get the motor in. Just take your time. Just make sure it can only go round one way. Yes, it can. You can see it can only go on one way because that is going to hit off of that if you try and put it in that way. So we need to feed our... It's so weird not being able to turn the drive shaft with these. Yeah, we need to feed our drive shafts into their corresponding U-joints. That's one on that side. Oh, that was easier than I expected. They're both in. Now we need to push down on the mounts to get them through their wee holes. Wiggle, wiggle. They are quite old, so just be careful. Don't go too mad if you're not putting in new ones. It still turns without hitting anything. They still spin. Bit of a wobble, but I can live with that. Lovely. So, we've got our left rail pickup wires coming from the trucks themselves. We have our negative motor wire coming from the bottom there. We do need to be careful. It's very close to that flywheel. So when we attach this, really want it over this side somehow. Lovely. So all that's left for this part is we need to wire up our right rail pickups from that tab and that tab. What I'm going to do at this stage is make a very basic platform over the motor and moving parts. I can't go any further back than this because, as you can see, the switcher slopes down there. Very limited in space, and this is really just so that the wires don't all go down into the mechanism. Bear in mind, we're going to have wires coming from the front for the headlight. There's going to be all sorts of wires at the back, but there's not a lot of way we can hide all of this or protect that. So as I say, a simple platform that will maybe go from there down to here. Let's try that. And it can only be about that narrow. Yeah, that'll probably be okay. There to there. So that will go there. And what I'll do is I will drill a couple of holes, one there, for this wire coming up and for the wire that's going to be attached to that coming up. And I'll drill another hole round about there so that this wire is not tempted to hit off the flywheel. Okay, right, let me take care of that. Right, let's see how that worked out. So I reckon it's going to go a bit there. Secure that with a bit of tape. Needs to go there. Okay, it doesn't need to be mega strong, it's really just a bit of a shield. So let's feed this wire through here. Feed a little grey wire through that hole. Still got the other wires to make. But what I want to do at the moment is test fit the body in this, just to make sure we're on the right track, okay, and everything's going to fit. I think I'm going to have to use micro LEDs. Just, believe it or not, I think the normal wire you get on the 3mm LEDs is that thick. I think that might actually be too much for the space we have. Let's see if this works so far. Okay, oh, so far so good. We have the space required. Okay, let me struggle to get that off again. Oh, there is one thing I forgot to do, and that was drill another hole in the middle, because we need power to get to the top of the motor as well. So let's remove that. I'll get a fresh bit of tape, don't worry. Mark a hole. Which is going to be there. A great ruddy hole, round about that size. Because we want a blob of solder in there, just a small blob, with a whole wire. So that's going to be the top of the motor, or the positive, that's going to be the negative of the motor. Right, let me take care of that. That's my modified platform. I can go on there with a fresh bit of tape. Like so. I've also got my right rail pickup wires. They're purple. Normally they'd be red, but purple works for me, as long as I remember where they go. Feed that one through there. Feed our grey one, motor negative, through there. Feed our green, left rail pickup, through there. Lovely. Now, what we need to do is join the two right rail pickup wires together, and then they get sent to the red wire of the decoder. The two green left rail pickup wires, they get joined together and they go to the black of the decoder. So what I'll probably do is join these together and put a tiny bit of black wire on there so I know where they're to go. Join these together, put a tiny bit of red wire on them. And they will sit along there fairly flat. We do have one more bit of wire to solder on, and that would be a small section of orange wire to go to the orange wire from the decoder. Don't know why this is giving me so much trouble. Probably because my tip is manky. Clean tip for the win. Right, that's all our motor power wires ready to get attached to the decoder. So I suppose we better go and grab the decoder, find out exactly where it's going to go. I think it's going to go in that roof. One tiny decoder. Love these little things. So far I've not had any issues with them. And that's small enough that it's going to fit right up there. However, there are some wires we're not going to require. I think I will install a rear light, so I'm going to keep the yellow. The white is the front light negative. Grey, we've already discussed that. That goes to the motor negative. Orange, motor positive. Green, we're not using green. Snip that. Black, right rail pickup. Left rail pickup. Red, right rail pickup. Purple, we're not using purple. Let's get rid of that. And blue, we are keeping that. That's the LED common positive. So actually we're keeping all those wires, although they're not going to be that long. Kind of wish I had made this grey wire a bit longer, because it has to go all the way up to the decoder. So I'm going to have to join it and I would rather... I wanted all the wires sticking through this hole basically here, so that I could just wire them straight there. Yeah, I'm gonna proceed with that plan because it just makes it a wee bit tidier. So what I'll do is I'm going to snip a bit of the grey off, attach it to there, put a bit of heat shrink, and then obviously we'll need to join it back up again there. I just think it'll be easier in the long run. Okay, that's how I should have started that wire that long. Right, let me connect these two green wires, add a bit of black, connect the two purple wires, add a bit of red, and then we actually need to get a light installed in the end of that. See you shortly. Right, that's my main motor wiring done. Doesn't matter how tidy you try and make this look, it always looks a mess. There we go, that rotates there, no problem. Oh, I did modify my little platform, I added a couple of holes at the back as well. That rotates okay. So let's move on to getting a light in the end of this. As I say, I think I am going to install micro LED. Soft white, I think. I think bright white might look a bit garish. So I will get one of my micro LEDs, glue it down there, run the wire along to the back, and it will stick out this hole as well. And then we can actually get this back on place, I believe, because all these wires here are going to stick through the hole. Yeah, and then everything else is going to be going up there to the decoder. So let me get a bulb in there, okay? Well, that's my micro LED installed at the front. Wires go through the back, and I have a little micro LED installed in here as well. I just noticed a window's loose. So we can get the body back on here because all the wiring's done here, all the wiring's done there. So we just need to feed these wires through here. Everything should fit perfectly. Yes, yes, go for the clip. Going for the clip. Oh, I'll tell you what we could probably do before we do that, actually. Let's take care of the couplers, because they seem to be... Yeah, it's got those annoying Athearn clip things, you know, the wee metal. Oh, I hate those things, but hey. They work. Once the cover's on, it keeps the sides of these in, which is why you kind of want to do them first. Right, let me whip on a couple of KDs, and then we'll get the body on, okay? KD couplers now installed. I did have to install the undershank couplers just to raise them up a little bit. But you didn't need to know about that. Right, now we can get the body on. So, let's feed our wires through the hole. Easier said than done. Everything else should now clip down in place. Hopefully I'll never have to take this off again. But what I was saying earlier about the sides of the body actually hold that clip in place. So it's almost impossible to get these clips on without removing the body. Which is why I'm doing it first. You see what I mean? See how it surrounds the sides of the coupler? Or the coupler box. All good, all good. Clip in place. Yes. That still turns. That still turns. Nothing is fouling. We can proceed. So we've done all the hard stuff. The next part is just going to be connecting a coloured wire to a coloured wire. So let's get our decoder installed. There is one more thing that I need to add, and that will be a resistor for the lights. Micro LEDs are only about 2 volts. These decoders do not have built-in resistors, so they're going to be pumping out about 12 volts through the blue and white wires. We want to reduce that, so we're going to add a 1000 ohm resistor onto the blue. The blue gets wired up to both the positives on the LEDs, but we're only going to be running either forward or reverse at one time, so one resistor on the blue will be fine. Now we're going to have a lot of wire to stuff in that hole because I don't want it dropping down there. So let me trim these down as much as possible, get them attached, and I think I'll leave sticking this into the roof for the very last part. That's all my wires connected. Somehow we need to get all of that into there. Oh boy. Without hanging down and touching my moving parts. Right, let's try twisting this a little bit, shall we? At least it's a bit organized chaos if I do that. Okay, and then we need to get this down there. Heating up the glue gun at the moment. Probably need to hide that with some tape because that's a lot of mass to magic away. We'll see, we'll see. Let's see if the glue gun's hot enough yet. Oh, yep, here we go. Right, big splodge down the roof. Okay. I hope this works, because this is never coming out again. Oh, come on, stop dripping. Oh, I need to see a doctor about that. Right, here we go, here we go. Get you down there. Squish that to the roof. It's going to be going that way. Oh goodness, right. Let's just give that a wee second to set before we go too mad. And then hopefully we can get this on and we'll be done. Apart from the railings, might do that in another video. Let's see how long this takes if it works. Okay, that is set. Let's see what happens when we try and shove it all up there. I'm thinking a sort of S-shape thing going on here. Definitely looks a bit dangly. Oh, no, that might actually be okay. Hideous, hideous wires. But you know what, I don't care at the moment. If it works, then we can work and maybe tidying that up a bit. But let's clip it down. Hopefully, if it clips down. I didn't get a satisfying click, but I do think it is down. Oh, I think there's a wee bit of glue down there stopping it from going all the way. Close enough, close enough. Right, that still turns, that still turns. Couplers are still in place. I think we're done. Well, apart from the railings. Shall we take it to the track and see if anything works? Right, get you on there. Okay, we're on. Give it some DCC power. Do we have a light? Oh, I thought I saw a light. Right, loco 3, enter, and light. Oh. I forgot to add a resistor, didn't I? I've just blown the front light. Okay, I've replaced the front headlight. That was not easy. Let's try again without the boo-boo. Hopefully I didn't blow the rear light since it should have just been the front light that would have been activated. Right, let's switch it to DCC. Come on, give me a light. Give me a light. Yes. Oh, thank goodness for that. Right, forward. I think we have something. Oh, goodness. No, come back. Yeah, still making that wee noise, which I kind of expected, to be honest. But it's working. So I am going to change all the CV values, make it nice and smooth, hopefully, and then we'll go for a blast. Here we go then, and thankfully I didn't blow the rear light, so that still works. Right then, let's go with, I've renamed it to 1870. Let's see how we can crawl. Probably not very well. Oh, we're still going backwards. Front light's still working. Yes, it is. So that is as slow as we can go, which is not too bad for an old Athearn blue box. Give it a bit more power, follow it around the track. It's a wee bit noisy, but that's to be expected from an old Athearn blue box. And I will not be adding the railings today because this video is way too long as it is. It was quite involved, and it didn't help that somebody forgot to add a resistor. It looks quite nice. It's my first Union Pacific switcher. So I'm now up to about 8 switchers, I think. Gotta get them all. It's a bit like cabooses now. They are the hardest things to add a decoder to though, because limited space and everything. If I had just a little bit more space, I would love to add ditch lights to it as well, maybe a flashing beacon on the top. But we just don't have the space for those luxuries. Running nice though. Even the old prehistoric Athearn blue boxes can still be brought into the 21st century. Well, that was fun. Next DCC install will be my Rutland Mountain Railroad steam train, probably with sound. Can't wait to get that one done. It's such a nice steam loco, and it really deserves to be running all the time, but because it's DC at the moment, it doesn't get a lot of run time. So I'll be getting on with that as my next DCC install. But I'm still got to get my campsite done, because I did get my new N-scale locomotive set from Japan. Haven't told anyone what it is, but I had to unbox it so that I could make sure that everything was okay from eBay, blah, blah, blah. So, campsite, I've got to get it done because I really want to get started my N-scale layout. Right, take care everyone. Going to go and enjoy my new switcher. Bye for now.